recognized throughout the world. This is stop number 1 of the THQ World Supercross GP, coming to you from
valuable race time before Arnhem.
In heat race number 2, all eyes were on David Villeman, the 2002 Supercross runner-up. A bad start left him with some passing to do, and time ran out before he could advance to the top 4 and directly to the main event. Later, he turned semi-2 into an opportunity to gain some quality practice laps as he easily won.
Heat 2 winner was Chad Reed. Now, while he's new to the 250 class of Supercross this year, his past experience in the open division is helping him make his mark early.
I'm out here having fun on my Yamaha part-time limit and all. It's just a lot of fun to be here, and I'm looking forward to a win.
Geneva's main event was one for the record books, and an example of why Supercross racing is so exciting to watch. Suzuki's Sebastian Tortelli had been getting great starts in the Pal Expo Center all weekend long, and the whole shot of the main was his as well. Sebastian looked focused and capable of taking the podium in 2003.
Jeremy McGrath also started well and ran second for a few laps until Yamaha teammates Villeman, Reed, and Ferry applied the pressure. Once past Jeremy, it looked towards Sebastian, who was unable to distance himself from the rest of the pack on the tight Geneva track. The end of lap 11 saw Villeman take the lead with a nice block pass, leaving Reed to take his turn at Tortelli.
Chad and Sebastian battled for 2 laps before Reed tried to make his pass as they went over the rut-face finish line jump. They connected in the air, and it was enough to send Reed cartwheeling to the ground, his bike ghost riding away, while Sebastian narrowly avoided high-siding off the track. Fortunately, Chad was unhurt and able to resume the chase.
Team Yamaha's Tim Ferry then took his turn at Sebastian and managed to move cleanly into second at the end of lap 15.
Finally, KTM's new 250 pilot, Grant Langston, stole third from Tortelli in the last lap. David Villeman went on to win round number 1 in Geneva and showed that he has recovered well from his off-season shoulder surgery.
It's been a good race. It's great to be, we're in Switzerland, close to France, so I race one time a year, so that's really good.
David Villeman appears poised to challenge defending Supercross champion Ricky Carmichael for the title in 2003. He sits atop the THQ World Supercross GP point standing, followed by his teammate Timmy Ferry. Now let's check out the Gelredome track with Cameron Steele.
Thanks, David. Here at stop number 2 in Arnhem, we're going to have similar dirt conditions that we had stop number 1 in Geneva. It was wet outside before they brought the dirt in, and that's going to make it a little soft, and it's going to rut up pretty quick. Something we didn't have at stop number 1 is an either-or lane. Check it out. Over here on the right side, it's a little bit lower. Over here on the left side, a little higher. So someone on that side might triple-double here, where this guy might double-triple. It's going to make a difference. Guys are going to be racing back and forth down the line, but where it really counts is when they get to the next corner to see who got ahead of who. That's going to be one of the keys to racing here in Arnhem.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Let's take a look at the THQ track map, David. This is comparable to the stadium tracks these riders will see when the AMA-sanctioned events begin in Anaheim, California in January.
Well, we're looking at a long start. We're going to see a lot of those next year, and they're doing some experimenting with the different lanes and stuff. You're going to see 2 whoop sections on almost every track next year. Of course, you're going to see triples. This rhythm section right here has got riders really trying to figure out the best way through there. Into a huge double jump, the corkscrew, and onto the finish line.
So we are set for 250 heat number 1 on the line right now. This one is loaded indeed, David. Should be a great opportunity for all the competitors to get more used to this track. As Cameron pointed out, a lot of water content in there. As you made a good point, a lot of long straightaways this year on the tour.
Well, the start isn't much longer than last weekend in Geneva, but the rest of the track, these guys are going to be able to get a little bit higher gears and stretch out a little bit more and have more freedom. And it looks like so far what we've seen is with the little sandier soil and the rust developing, the lines are moving around quite a bit.
The gate is down. We've got a clean start as they head into that first turn, and it looks like Jimmy Ferry's going to get the whole shot.
Brian Clark looked like he had it. Ferry blocked past him and let McGrath through. Finally, somebody gets Tortelli off the line.
In the back, it's Johnson, Wong, McCormick. They're all down, up and riding once again, but the damage has been done. It's number 15, Timmy Ferry, showing the way.
Beautiful. It just leans right in over those tough blocks. Has the block pass. Jeremy does a little block passing of his own. You can see what it's like to be in the middle of the pack right there. Not the place to be. It gets a little too tight and you get banged around.
Let's talk about Timmy Ferry. He had a great performance in Geneva. I know the folks at Yamaha have got to be thrilled with their trio up in front, and it looks to be a very promising year for the team in blue.
Well, they're happy to have Timmy riding so well early in the season. He talks about how, oh, I'm not really the best guy at starting the season well, but, you know, it had to give him a lot of confidence last week to run some pretty quick lap times in practice, pick up second. He's leading here, and he's on a track that really lends itself more to the power he's able to deliver with that four-stroke. Much more room out there, and with the sandier soil, that thing hooks up great.
Speaking of hooking up great, number 2, Jeremy McGrath on board the KTM, currently in second, trying to find a way to reel Timmy Ferry in. Not having it right now. Ferry is running so well, picking the perfect line, David.
Now, he looks excellent. His timing looks perfect. He's got all the rhythm sections dialed. And Jeremy really hasn't been able to, he hasn't lost much time, but he can't seem to gain any either. They're running exactly the same pace.
That is number 2, Jeremy McGrath on board the KTM. Remember the top 4 advance out of this 250cc heat number 1. Jeremy looking pretty good, and this is a good opportunity, David, as we saw in Geneva, for these guys to take the time to get a good line and get the track almost memorized.
Well, they got it pretty much memorized now, but it does change a little bit throughout. Yesterday was a lot more rutted than what you're looking at right now. They mellowed out the loop sections a little bit. That's what they're coming into right now. It's rare that you see the guys going through there this fast, but if they'd have made them any more heat, they'd have got more rutted, broken down, maybe formed a one-line situation. So, you know, for Jeremy right now, he's just trying to keep pace with Ferry. I mean, that would be a confidence booster for him to be able to run with the guy that finished second last week.
Currently running in number 3 is Ryan Clark. Number 37, sitting in 3rd place right now. As you look at the lineup coming through one more time, Ryan Clark having a great start, running the top 3, and right now he'll advance if he stays in his position.
He's doing an excellent job of holding Tortelli off. I don't think Sebastian's lines are really coming together. He has a little bobble right there. It's not over for him. He still can get Clark, but the leaders have checked out. And Ferry and McGrath are gone. See Ferry going over, or McGrath rather, going over the finish line jump already.
We'll be back to Arnhem, Holland for more racing right after this. Welcome back inside the Gelredome in Arnhem, Holland. This is stop number 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. Todd Harris along with David Bailey, Cameron Steele, and Jamie Little. And our current leader in the 250 heat number 1 is Tim Ferry out in front, being followed closely by Jeremy McGrath.
This battle's going to get good. Tortelli starting to put the pressure on Clark now. Clark's pretty much had no pressure all this time and probably building some confidence going, man, I'm not losing that much time on the leaders. He did in the first couple of laps. He wasn't getting any pressure by Tortelli, so he was pretty comfortable, but now a whole different story.
Sebastian Tortelli has been so magnificent on the start. He finds himself in an unlikely position right here, trying to get into that 3rd place position. He's in 4th right now, so he will qualify, but it looks like he's really putting the pressure on Ryan Clark right now, who currently sits in 3rd.
This is where Tortelli was been going to the inside. Didn't quite have that line that time. He didn't jump in there the same way, otherwise he might have been able to block past him, but he's definitely right there putting the pressure on. He's going to force Ryan into a mistake.
Oh, and a nice block pass by Sebastian Tortelli, but he just can't close the deal. Let's talk about this track, David. If he goes for it one more time, and this time he gets it done, this track is a lot bigger. How does that affect the shifting in the strategy of the riding here today?
Well, last week in Geneva, it was pretty much 1st and 2nd gear everywhere, maybe 3rd for the whoops. Here, a lot of 2nd and 3rd, very seldom, if any times at all, if you ever go into 1st gear. So these guys are able to use the power a little bit more, not just on the start, but everywhere else on the racetrack. A lot more similar to what they're going to experience in the United States when the 03 U.S. Supercross Series takes place. But I'm excited to see some of these rhythm sections that the track designers are building. They've been going around to the riders and making sure that that's something that they like. You know, they're conscious of what the riders feel about the track, what the fans feel about the track, and designing something that doesn't break down and become one line. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. With the dirt they have here, I think they've done a great job.
Well, this is the final lap for your leader, Tim Ferry, number 15, on board the Yamaha. He has led from start to finish. He has run an impeccable race, keeping Jeremy McGrath at bay.
Pulled out a pretty good lead over Jeremy. I think in these last couple of laps, Jeremy's just taking a last good look at the track, thinking about what he might want to change on the motorcycle before the main event, so he's not pushing that hard. But it's definitely going to be a fast heat race for Tim.
Tim Ferry putting the final touches on board the Yamaha, number 15, coming around one more time. and he will claim victory here in heat number 1 in the 250cc. Top 4 will advance, so it'll be Ferry, McGrath, Tortelli, and Clark if they hold it together here on this last lap. But there is your winner, Timmy Ferry, on board the Yamaha. He gets the win. He is followed by Jeremy McGrath in second. Sebastian Tortelli will take third. And number 37, Ryan Clark, will come around for fourth place. So as the rest of the riders come through, let's take a look at our THQ race results. And there you see Timmy Ferry getting the victory, followed by McGrath, Tortelli, and Clark. Let's go down to Cameron Steele.
Last week he was the 2 and a 1-2 for Yamaha. Tim Ferry winning the first heat race this week. Timmy, I understand you had a crash in practice, though. Is that holding you back at all? It doesn't look like it with that nice win.
No, you know, I'm feeling pretty good now. I crashed on Thursday, and then I took yesterday off. I didn't ride practice, and you know, I feel 100% today. You know, I'm a little banged up, my ankle, my shin, but once you start riding, you don't ever notice that kind of stuff. And I'm just out here trying to win, and it's a good way to start off with the heat race. Hopefully, a main event tonight.
The heat race is quick, only a few laps, 20 laps in the main event. Will the injury be a factor there, or is it no problem?
No, that's not going to affect me. I just got to get out there and ride like I did that time. Just ride consistent laps. It was 54s that time. It's the fastest I've ran today, and now I'm pretty stoked. I feel great tonight.
We'll see you in the main.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks, Cameron. Before we get to heat number 2, let's step outside the Gelre Dome and show you a bit of Arnhem. Arnhem is Holland's 14th largest city with 140,000 people and is situated on the River Rhine. Much of the past 50 years has been a rebuilding process for the city because during World War II, Arnhem was completely devastated. The 1977 war movie A Bridge Too Far tells the story of the Battle of Arnhem, where thousands of Allied and Nazi servicemen lost their lives towards the end of the war in Operation Market Garden, September 1944. Arnhem is dotted with memorials, museums, and a truly humbling Allied Forces cemetery, which all serve to help us never forget. Coming up, 250 heat number 2 when the THQ World Supercross GP continues on ESPN.
Loudon Motorsports and Power Equipment proudly features Suzuki motorcycles and ATVs. The large 2-showroom facility in Leesburg is filled with Suzuki sport bikes like the incredible GSX-R 1000 and Suzuki cruisers like the 1400cc Intruder. Check out our entire lineup of Suzuki dirt bikes and ATVs, and our top-notch service department will quickly get you back on the road or trail. Visit Loudon Motorsports and see for yourself why they're the area's leading Suzuki dealer.
We know that dreaming is where it all begins, and we're here to make your dream a reality.
Welcome back to the Gelre Dome in Arnhem, Holland, and round 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. Todd Harris along with David Bailey, Cameron Steele, and Jamie Little, and Heat 2 is on the line.
Well, with the absence of Tim Ferry, this is like the main event, Todd, because you've got Billiman and Langston, first and third last week. Reed, who believes he could have won that race, and LaRocca, who went down in the first corner. I can't wait to see how this turns out.
And what is interesting is we look at Chad Reed right there. It's only the top 4 advance on into the semifinals. So here we go. Look at that lineup, as you pointed out, David. It is star-studded indeed as they are all on the line. Oh, they go into the corner awfully hot. And David Billiman, by virtue of that pileup, just escaped with his life with Grant Langston right behind him.
Billiman on the inside, he knew exactly where he was going. LaRocca high sides off the back of Kyle Lewis. Carson going off the track, and LaRocca, just like last week, going down the first corner and having to start from the rear.
Well, Kyle Lewis was in a position to get that whole shot, and Mike LaRocca, he, as you pointed out, got tangled up, and that's all she wrote. Meanwhile, David Billiman losing no sleep over that. He is off and running.
He's got Langston back there before Reed. The way Reed has been riding here all weekend, I have a feeling he's got the speed to get up there and run with Billiman, but Langston's not the easiest guy to pass. He's running on a whole new level of confidence after his podium finish last week. He's not going to let Reed by without a fight.
Grant Langston 111 on the KTM out of South Africa. Chad Reed 22 on the Yamaha out of Australia. And I'll tell you what, for Team Yamaha, they got to love Europe so far, David.
It's going good, and there's a lot of riders missing from the series. You know, mainly Ricky Carmichael, but still, it's a great start, and they're accomplishing what they were hoping to. Just get these guys used to racing and make sure the bikes that they believe are good in testing are actually good in race conditions.
There you see David Billiman, number 12, Grant Langston coming into the picture right there, and Chad Reed right behind him. an unenviable position for Grant Langston because he's sandwiched in between two Yamaha riders, and the guy trying to chase him right is Chad Reed, and this guy has been absolutely unstoppable when he wants position.
Not able to close the gap, though. Langston still got that same gap he had the last lap. So does Villeman. As his laps wind down a little bit, somebody's going to get impatient and want to make a run at everybody. And it's surprising me that Villeman is looking so strong out front. He's been sick all week, so I know he's not feeling, you know, like he should, like he'd like to, but he's holding these guys off.
As they come to that long straightaway section, Chad Reed, it seems like it's only a matter of time as the rider goes down right there. It's number 72, and that's Mirek Paget, one of the European riders. But it seems like it's only a matter of time before Chad Reed gets a little impatient and decides to make a move.
Well, he just closed up on Langston a little bit there coming into this section. Villeman still has his gap, but looks like Reed is trying to make a move.
Remember, the top four move on to the semifinals, and right now there's Villeman, Langston, Reed, and then the third, fourth rider that would qualify is so far back right now, he's not even our picture.
Yeah, these guys are running quick laps right now. I like Langston's timing here. You watch, he jumps all the way. He didn't do it that time. He's been jumping into that move section, hopping again, when he only has to blitz the last third of that section. Didn't work that time, and he lost a little ground to Chad, so now he's going to have to ride a little more defensive.
Well, riding defensive will come in handy right now because Chad Reed has seen enough. He is all over the back of 111 Grant Langston. So does David Villeman out in front, and as Langston moves up on Villeman, Chad Reed does the same to him, so we now have a three-man race at the front of this pack.
You heard Ferry in the first heat talk about the first time he's run 54s, Chad down into the 53s. They're both closing on Villeman a little bit. It's anybody's race right now. There's plenty of time.
And you can see the ruts starting to develop in there. Cameron Steele did a great report at the top of the show about the water content in here. And David, you know, as they come across the finish line, it is really rutted up. And we're not talking about minor ruts. These are deep ruts.
Now, they're getting worse during the race, but then you can move out of that line. Reed's able to take some different lines and stay free of the ruts. It's not quite as sticky as it was last week, though.
Last week in Geneva, Switzerland, our riders got their first taste of European riding here on the THQ World Supercross GP, garnering some much-needed points. Now we're in Arnhem, Holland, and then we make the turn back to the States in 03 in Anaheim, California.
Todd, each lap that Langston is able to hang with Villeman and keep Chad off of him, he's got to be building a lot more confidence. It was a big confidence booster last week to grab third on the final lap, and I didn't think he'd be that strong. 250 right away. I've seen a lot of Villeman in the past couple of months, and Reed as well at the Yamaha track. Those guys are on it. And Langston, you know, right off the bat is able to hang with those guys. Larocco trying to make something of that last place start, but it's not looking good.
Right now, Mike Larocco has moved up into 5th place. He is battling with Andrew Short right now. We remind you on the top four advance on. And it looks like once again, Mike Larocco may have enough magic in that Honda to pull this thing off.
Now, even if he gets the 4th, it's going to wreck his gate position for the main, and it'll be a little bit more frustration for him, just going, man, why can't I just get up front and race the leaders? Lap times aren't quite there, and it's tough to go to the main event with a lot of confidence when you've had a heat race like this.
Chad Reed now is in 2nd place. He gets ahead of Langston. So out front, you've got David Villeman on a Yamaha, and you've got Chad Reed, number 22, also on a Yamaha. Grant Langston slides to 3rd, and Chad Reed starting to back off just a little bit. Do you think he's going to push David?
Absolutely. He wants to win everything. Chad he's a guy that runs on a lot of confidence. Larocco getting around Short, so that's going to put him in the main. An impressive ride. We saw it. He was last, basically.
Andrew Short trying to get that spot back, goes for a block pass, cannot pull it off as they accelerate through that rhythm section. Is still Mike Larocco. He is trying to get ahead and get into that 4th place position, holding it down right now as he deals with the lap traffic.
And I like the way Short is going right back after him. He doesn't care how many race wins and how the $100,000 check from the U.S. Open. He doesn't care about any of that stuff that Mike Larocco has. He wants to get to the main. He's doing the right thing by really keeping him honest.
Look at that, just like you said, Chad Reed wants to win everything, and he is pushing his teammate, David Villeman. Look at this. Well, it's the last lap, David. What do you think is going to transpire here?
Bileman's got the inside. Little bump right there. I mean, he's a teammate, but these guys both want to win. David's not going to give it up. Looks over his shoulder to make sure Reed doesn't have a run on him at the inside. Reed's still doing that triple, but he's not really gaining much time.
David Bileman, number 12 from France. Chad Reed, number 22 from Australia, going 1 and 2 right now in heat number 2 as they bring it around one more time.
Bileman's smart again right there to protect that inside. You cannot leave the door open with Chad Reed behind you. This is one more straightaway and then the finish.
And as they come to the line, it will be David Bileman picking up the victory here in heat number 2, the 250cc class. His teammate Chad Reed, although you might not guess it all the time on that last lap, takes second. Grant Langston holds on for third. And amazingly enough, after a poor start once again, Mike LaRocco sneaks into the qualifying in the 4th place position. But your heat winners, David Bileman, we'll talk to him and our THQ final results when we return. Welcome back to Arnhem, Holland. Here are the THQ final results presented by UFO Flash. Your winner, David Bileman. He's standing by with Cameron Steele.
Heat number 2 winner, David Bileman. David, I know you've been fighting a little bit of sickness, maybe the flu. Does it feel like it has you run down a little bit?
No, I felt great, and it's great to put Yamaha on the podium in the second race, and I felt good. I had the best lap time in practice, and the start's going to be very important, so we see for the main.
You talk about the best time in practice. Were you surprised to see your teammate Chad Reed show you a wheel and actually get ahead of you for a second there?
Yeah, that's always fun. Chad is really young, and he wants to win really bad, so always make good racing.
Right on, a lot of blue in the main event.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you, Cameron. Time now for our Yamaha Racer Profile. Australian Chad Reed is on a mission. He's left his home country in an effort to climb to the top of the Supercross ranks. He's done that on a 125. Now he's ready to take on the 250 class.
Racing motorcycles ever since I was 4 years old. I actually had a horse when I was young, and my dad was riding the horses, and when I was 3.5, something changed, I guess. Other than horses, my family was into motorcycles, and just one day I asked for a motorcycle, and we sold the horse, and I had a little PW50. So, when I started winning, it was even more fun. So it seemed like it was just, one big drug. It was just like, something that I couldn't get out of my system. I just wanted more and more of it, and ever since 4 years old, I've been racing ever since, other than, a few months here, a few months there of injuries. Australia's it's actually a big country, but, a small population, and, it seems like everybody lives, all on the East Coast, and one person knows another person. So, it's kind of small like that, but when we want to go to the next level and, compete internationally, it's a big thing, because to fly to America, it costs a lot of money to fly here. It's a 15-hour flight and things like that. So when you do it, you got to do it good, and you can't let maybe people that are more popular than you walk all over you. You really got to step in there and be strong and show people that you're serious and that you really want to win, and that's my attitude anyway. I don't fly halfway around the world to be here in a foreign country just to be here because I love it. I'm here to win, and I'm going to do everything that it takes to win.
Stay with us. When we return, we'll have our KTM flashback and review last year's 125 Supercross season. It's time now for the KTM flashback. The 125cc series has been a permanent fixture at Supercross events since the mid-'80s and has seen many of today's top riders rise through its ranks on their way to glory in the 250 class. Riders in the 125 class are divided into two separate groups, the 125 West Series and the 125 East Series. All Supercross rounds are divided almost right down the middle between the two halves. Even with the obvious differences between the two classes, the 125 series produces racing excitement on par with their larger 250cc counterparts. In 2002, the 125 West Series saw the infusion of the most celebrated amateur star the sport has ever seen.
James Stewart owns an amateur motocross record that would make most seasoned veterans jealous. But at Anaheim, it was Travis Preston who turned heads by securing the win after a final lap collision between Chris Gosler and Roderick Tame. Stewart was a close second, and Gosler came in third.
San Diego saw the first dominating performance of James Stewart's young career. Early in the main event, he overtook hole shot winner Roderick Tame with an aggressive pass and never looked back. Barely 16 years old, James Stewart had just become the youngest person ever to win a 125 Supercross main event.
At round 3 in Anaheim, Stewart earned his very first hole shot, but washed out. By the time Stewart got back on track, he had dropped the dead last. Stewart began to methodically pick off riders to start his Herculean comeback. Meanwhile, David Pingree threw a block pass on Casey Lytle to gain sole possession of first place. Stewart worked his way from 17th all the way to second, but ran out of time to catch Pingree in the final lap. Ping held on to win his first 125 Supercross main event in more than 2 years.
But for Pingree, the next round in Phoenix ended very differently. As he came up short on a quad jump while leading his heat race, the impact broke his frame and put him out of action for the rest of the evening. In the main, James Stewart busted out of the gate and sprinted to a 12-second lead by mid-race. Despite losing valuable time after a fall in the whoop section, he still had a 4-second lead by the time he was back in the race. Making the podium in Phoenix was Ivan Tedesco in third, Travis Preston in second, and a lucky and relieved James Stewart in first. But unfortunately for Stewart, his luck would run out when the 125 West Series moved back to Anaheim.
After a crash in the first lap, Stewart restarted near the back of the pack and looked to be mounting another stellar comeback until another fall with 5 laps to go ended his hopes for a victory that night. Meanwhile, Brock Sellards grabbed the lead in the first turn and held it for the duration of the race, winning his second career 125 Supercross main event. Points leader Stewart finished 11th.
After a huge first-turn pileup in the next round in Houston, series points leader James Stewart restarted in 18th place. Matt Walker took the lead with Frenchman Eric Sorby close behind. Stewart tried to mount yet another comeback, but struggled and crashed again, eventually coming in 10th.
Walker came out of the last chance qualifier to win his first 125 main event. And back in striking distance of the points leader, Travis Preston placed second. Former French Supercross champion Eric Sorby claimed third in his very first American Supercross race.
In the next round, one of the wildest races of the season was on tap at Dallas's Texas Stadium. Early in the main, James Stewart went down, then Chris Gosler, then Chase Reed. Travis Preston avoided the pandemonium and took the lead.
Then Stewart connected with Tedesco and went down again. In the very next corner, after getting remounted, he connected with his teammate Eric Sorby and went down. 2 corners later, he went down again and got stuck onto the motorcycle and cruised in for a disappointing finish. Travis Preston held onto the lead and moved into first place in the points race. He made most of his opportunities over the last few rounds and only needed to finish 5th or better in the final round at Salt Lake to keep his lead and win the championship.
James Stewart needed to end his first professional season on a high note in Salt Lake City, and from the moment he blasted out of the gate, he owned the Rice-Eccles track. Travis Preston secured second place from the start and held it all the way to the finish.
James Stewart had an almost 15-second lead over the rest of the pack by the time the checkered flag dropped. It was the performance he needed to solidify his reputation as the talented Supercross up-and-comer that he was billed to be.
For Travis Preston, his second-place finish in Salt Lake was more than enough to clinch his first title. Racing under the radar, as he called it, Preston stayed in the hunt all season long. His consistent determination and stealth-like approach secured him his very first Supercross 125 West Championship. The 125 East Series was full of intense competition, but in the end, one man dominated. 2002 was Australian Chad Reed's first full Supercross season in America, and he wasted no time in leaving his mark.
Beginning with the 125 East opener, Reed powered his 4-stroke to 6 straight first-place finishes. From the dramatic to the dominant, he proved he could win in almost any situation. Reed's mid-air pass over Mike Brown began his incredible 125 East run at the opening round in Indianapolis. At round 2, a slightly injured Reed grabbed the whole shot and never surrendered the lead. He rode in front, gate to flag, for victory number 2 in Minneapolis.
Win number 3 was a come-from-behind victory after a poor start pushed Reed back to 7th place after lap number 1. But by the end of the main, he had blown away the rest of the pack by more than 5 seconds. Daytona was a classic Reed blowout for win number 4. By the time the series moved to New Orleans, Reed looked untouchable. Grant Langston, however, wasn't so sure.
Grant quickly moved from 4th to 2nd. He slipped by Reed on lap 5 to join a small club of those who were actually able to pass him in 2002. But Reed stayed calm and passed Langston on the last lap as Langston got held up in lappers. When the checkered flag fell, Reed had again come from behind for victory number 5.
In St. Louis, Reed took an early lead and managed to stay away from the crashes that plagued the middle lap. A commanding 22nd margin of victory announced Reed's 5th straight win with authority and sewed up the 2002 125 East Supercross Championship.
In the final round, however, Reed encountered a young rider that marred an otherwise perfect season. After a dreadful start that pushed him to the back early, Reed wasted no time in mounting a remarkable comeback. But riding the best race of his life, 19-year-old Brandon Jessamine was able to hold off Reed by a bike length and deal him his only loss on the season.
Nonetheless, Reed had sewn up the 125 East Supercross Championship in dominant fashion. Each year at the Supercross Finals in Las Vegas, the top riders from both series meet up for the Dave Coombs Sr. 125 East-West Shootout. Racing head-to-head for the only time in a season, it's a rare treat to see the best in the West take on the best from the East.
At the start of the 2002 shootout, all eyes were on favorites James Stewart and Chad Reed, but it was Chris Gosler who took the whole shot, with Stewart 5th and Reed in 7th. True to form, Stewart immediately began his charge to the front, while a patient Reed waited for the right opportunities to make his move. By lap 3, Stewart gained the lead while Reed was stuck in 6th. By the time Reed began his comeback charge, Stewart was long gone, doing whips to the delight of the crowd and enjoying a huge lead in the later laps.
Stewart snagged first, Reed settled for 2nd, and Gosler finished 3rd. 2002 125 West champion Travis Preston placed a disappointing 6th. It cannot be denied that James Stewart is the fastest rider on the 125 Supercross circuit today and will surely be a powerhouse in the years to come. For this coming season, both Travis Preston and Chad Reed will be trying their hand at the 250 class, opening the door for 2 brand new 125 champions in 2003. Will James Stewart rein in his incredible talent and dominate the West Division? Mike Brown finished behind Travis Pastrana and Nathan Ramsey in 2001, and as a runner-up to Reed in 2002. Is this his year to hit the jackpot? One thing is for sure, year after year, the 125 East and West Supercross Series not only delivers incredible action and some of the best racing ever, but also the future stars of Supercross. Stay with us. 250 semi number 1 is coming up as the THQ World Supercross GP continues from Holland. Welcome back to the Gelra Dome in Arnhem, Holland, and round 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. Todd Harris along with David Bailey and Cameron Steele and Jamie Little. 250 semi number 1 is on the line. As they go into the first corner, very hot, coming out, it looks like it's going to be number 36, John Sebastian Waugh, getting the whole shot. Oh, and coming down the straightaway, look at this. Oh, Tiger Lacey goes down hard and then gets run over.
That was scary, Todd. It was Steve Boniface who rode right over him. Luckily, it didn't look like he made any contact, but Lacey starts swapping side to side. Watch his head. Boom, right into that last whoop. Boniface going right over him, and Lacey's laying there going, I don't know if I'm okay or not. Let me take a second to see. He hit hard. He probably doesn't know exactly where he is right now.
And then to add insult to injury, Boniface comes around, no fault of his, and is caught up in the race, goes right over his arm. We're back on track right now. This is 108. Joaquin Rodriguez out of Portugal, out in front, right behind him. The man who got the whole shot, John Sebastian Waugh.
Another good opportunity for Rodriguez to get up front, get comfortable with what it's like to run in the lead. Some people, it takes a little while for them to get used to what it's like out front with having some pressure, and it doesn't seem like it's really taking Rodriguez much time at all. He seems to enjoy it out there, and his laps are getting better all the time. He's got a lot of KTM teammates that are all very quick, so he's got a lot of inspiration around him to help him get to the front of the pack quick.
Remember, this 6-lap race, we're only taking the top 5. They will move on into the main event. John Sebastian Waugh currently sitting in 2nd place, but it is Rodriguez who is out in front despite that horrific accident by Tiger Lacey. The medical personnel still on the track with the yellow flags as the battle rages on for a top 5 placing.
I've been in that position with Boniface right there where you go over a guy, you're not sure if you hit him, and you come by and he's still laying in the track, and you're thinking, oh man, I hope that's not because of me. It's probably playing on his mind just a little bit right now as he tries to work on Pavolny, get up in there in the qualifying position and hold it, try to make it to the main.
Well, let's talk about the whoop section. We've made points of the quality of the dirt they brought in here, and it looks like the whoop sections have really taken their toll on a lot of riders.
Well, they're not nearly as tough as what you're going to see when we come back to the States. And I think the reason they did that was because if they would have made it any tougher, they'd have run it out and become one line. Another rider down. That looks like Boniface.
Steve Boniface, number 55, down the track. And this is how it happened.
Right over the handlebars. Tries to get loose from the bike, gets kind of hung up on it. The bike just chased him around. That wasn't nice. Fell over on him too.
So Steve Boniface and Tiger Lacey both down. It looks like they will not be coming back, so if they're able to, they'll go to last chance qualifying. Meanwhile, out in front, number 108, Joaquin Rodriguez out of Portugal is your leader in semifinal, number 1, and he had a tremendous performance. You see the yellow flags for caution. He had a tremendous performance, David, in Geneva, Switzerland. Really a good coming out party for him, and the folks at KTM must be thrilled.
Yeah, I know they're happy, and this kid he's really strong, he's tough, he's got a pretty neat style, and I didn't know much about him until this early part of November when he rode the 125 race in Paris. Got to know him a little bit. We sat next to each other on that long flight over there, and he's a neat kid. I expect him to do very well in the States.
I'm sure the folks at KTM hoping that he spends a lot of time with their other two great riders, Grant Langston and Jeremy McGrath. Meanwhile, this is Waugh continuing to try to track down. There's 35. Keith Johnson trying to get into the fray, currently running in 3rd.
Keith not quite as impressive this week as he was last week.
Well, David, how difficult is it in your experience with these guys come over here from the States and travel in Europe for 2 or 3 weeks getting ready? You got the jet lag, you got the difference in cuisine. How big of a factor does that play?
It's everything, you know, because you're so used to having your routine all dialed in. As soon as you interrupt that, it's really tough to go out there and perform your best and feel like racing on race day. Sometimes you're sitting on the starting line and you just don't feel aggressive. You know, and it takes 3 or 4 laps to really get in the mood, but the jet lag, they're over that now from that initial trip to Geneva, but I'll tell you what was really hard for these guys is to just be on a bus, and although they got to tour around, look at Paris and see some neat stuff, usually they're looking at practice tracks and testing, and you know, luckily what they did here was they opened up the track on Thursday for these guys to ride for a couple hours, you know, to give them a little bit more time instead of having to sit around all week in a hotel room. So that helped a little, but it's still not the normal routine they're used to.
Well, this is the last lap of semifinal number 1 in the 250s. Your current leader, Joaquin Rodriguez. Then it's Waugh, Johnson, Pavolny, and McCormick. And if they stay like that, those will be the 5 that will move on into the main.
The more I look at this dirt, Todd, the more I wish I was out there. It just looks perfect. It's rutted in a few places, but you know, there's ways around that. It's a lot better than it was on Thursday.
Now you see the lead by Joaquin Rodriguez. He brings it around on this last lap. A very impressive performance by the young man, bike number 108, riding at KTM. We saw him, as we pointed out, last week in Geneva, Switzerland, really put on quite a show and starting to make a name for himself. But interesting to see how he does when he gets over to Anaheim in January.
Got to feel good picking up another win, even if it's just a semi. Winning is winning. And it's going to give him a pretty decent gate pick for the main event.
As he brings it across the finish line, your winner of semi number 1, Joaquin Rodriguez.
Got some tricks, too.
Definite future in the freestyle industry he's all done here. So Rodriguez gets the victory here in the 250cc semi number 1, and he is followed closely by Waugh, Johnson, James Pavolny Jr., and Jason McCormick. Right now, let's send it down to the track and Cameron Steele.
The popular pronunciation for Portuguese rider Joaquim Rodriguez's name is Joaquin, but Joaquim, a great job, semi number 1 win. It's got to be quite different for your riding on the World GP Supercross series as compared to at home in Portugal.
Yeah, it's a lot of difference. Here, this guy's going fast, and well, in Portugal, the Supercross is so small. We have about 2 riders can go fast, not more. So here, everybody go fast, so it's real different.
Racing with all the names you've seen on TV, do you get nervous at all, or you seem pretty comfortable?
Yeah, first race in Geneva, I was so bad, so nervous, I even can't start. But well, now I'm getting used to these guys, and well, try to do my best, and well, I'm in a semifinal. That's good for me.
All right, we'll talk to you later, Joachim.
Thanks.
When we return to Holland, a look back at the U.S. Open held in Las Vegas when the THQ World Supercross GP continues on ESPN. In round 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP presented by Ufoplast. Todd Harris and David Bailey calling the action, and the 250 semi number 2 is now on the line.
You got to look at Andrew Short, number 41, out of this semi. Remember, he was dicing with Larocco in his heat race. Larocco just got by, sent him here. I would imagine he's going to go out here and treat this semi kind of like Bieleman treated his semi last week in Geneva. Just run away with it, get the lap times down. A little more time on the track, never hurts.
This is semi number 2. Remember, we're only taking the top 5, and we'll move on to the main event. The rest of them will be going to the last chance qualifier. David, I don't think we've had a clean start yet, but out in the front, it is Heath Voss who gets the whole shot.
Andrew Short right up in there. Damon Huffman with a pretty good start. Number 72, Pierrick, that's one of David Bieleman's friends. Rode the 500 GPs this season. Supercross, not his strong point, but he's getting there. Oh no, Huffman.
Damon Huffman is down. Let's look at it one more time.
Right off the track. Trying to make something happen, got stuck out there, ran over those hay bales, just took his front end right off the track, and there's no way he's getting back to the top 5. This is a shorter race than the heat race. LCQ for Huffman.
And he's lucky Brian Mason didn't run him over. Right now, out in front, it is still Heath Voss. The all-blue 28 rig off and running.
This ought to be an interesting battle because you got a 4-stroke 450 out front and a 2-stroke 250 in second. They deliver the power a little bit different. So be anxious to see what Andrew Short can do with that. Another look at the start. That berm isn't very high. Usually that first turn berm's a little higher, and it seems like every start somebody goes out and just drifts right over the top of it. For the main event, if somebody doesn't go out over that, 2 or 3 people, I'd be surprised.
Well, Brian Mason that went down in that opening turn on lap number 1. He is back up and running again. But as you pointed out, David, in this race, it's such a short race, you got to get a top 3 or 4 your LCQ right off the bat.
Short starting to put a little more pressure on the leader now. Lewis had a rough week last week. Sitting in 4th now. That'll get him to the main as long as he doesn't make any mistakes from here on out. But he came down on Steve Boniface and which broke the side case. All the oil drained out. The bike clogged and seized up and pretty much took him out. So hopefully the week goes a little bit better for him this time.
And you can start to see some major ruts developing, especially as they go into those sideburns, David. We've still got the LCQ to go and then the main event. How's this track going to hold up?
Well, you know, the way the schedule is, they can't really get in there with the tractors between the races and fix stuff as much as they'd like. Oh!
Andrew Short trying to get by Heath Voss there, and Heath has nothing to do with that.
He just ran right over the front end, going, if you're going to park in my way, maybe I can wreck your bike, and that'll solve things right there. Look at this. Short tries to get in there. Just keep the pressure on. He leaned out of the way, and Voss still, he could have avoided that. He just ran right into him. But I think going back to what we were talking about with the track, before the main event, there's a little break here and there, and they'll be able to go in and sort of redress the faces of some of these jumps that are rutted out.
Well, Heath Voss looks pretty good, but as soon as he gets that rhythm section, Andrew Short really closes the gap.
Yeah, Short's getting a good run at him there. The Short had a good battle with Larocco, so his pace and his timing and everything is a little bit quicker than Voss's. He's able to triple right over it.
So Andrew Short triples his way into first place. Heath Voss slides into second, and now it's Manuel Rivas in third who's starting to get up in the action.
I think what happened to Voss there, Todd, was he just was taking a look at that triple, and the line he had going in there was just having to pick too deep of a rut, decided to play it safe.
So Andrew Short takes the lead here in semi number 2. A very short race, only a few laps to go. Heath Boss in second, Manuel Rivas in third, and Kyle Lewis currently sits in fourth. Eric Vallejo is in fifth, so he is on the bubble of qualifying. Vallejo is in, and after that it's Pierre Paget on the outside looking in.
Pierre seems to keep missing it by one spot. There's another look at the pass for the lead. Short, no problem over the triple, and I think that was just Heath Voss playing it safe.
Well, they are really spread out here. Andrew Short has a huge lead right now.
Yeah, it's only been not even a full lap, and you can see Short's already opening it up a little bit, starting to be able to check out the track a little bit, check out some lines, try to get a little bit of a groove going before the main event. He's got to be a little disappointed with not making it straight out of the heat, because he had that right there in a good battle with Morocco, but just not quite enough.
Kyle Lewis now getting into the fray. He currently sits in fourth place. There you see him in orange going through your picture. There is bike number 70. And that is Manuel Rivas.
Rivas' timing through there. That's what Langston was doing earlier in his heat race. He was jumping off that double and then hopping twice. Anytime you can get a rhythm like that, it just eliminates having to hit 4 or 5 more bumps. It could just toss you sideways and you end up starting to swap back and forth the way Tiger Lacy did.
Well, this is the final lap for Andrew Short as he brings it around. This is 250cc semi number 2, and Andrew Short, by virtue of that beautiful triple, overtook the lead just a lap or so ago over Heath Voss, and he has held on to it, increasing his lead with every single turn. And he'll bring it around and take the checkered flag. So it is Andrew Short who will move on to the main event along with Heath Voss, Manuel Rivas in third, Kyle Lewis with a respectable fourth. And rounding out the top 5 that will be moving on, it will be Eric Vallejo, number 179. Well, a great performance by Andrew Short. Didn't get the whole shot, but made it work about halfway through the race. So Andrew Short is the winner in semifinal number 2. A great race from top to finish as we look at our standings from semifinal number 2. It's Andrew Short atop the board, followed by Heath Voss, Manuel Rivas, Kyle Lewis, and Eric Vallejo. Right now, let's check in with Cameron Steele.
Thanks, guys. Well, I'm down here on the podium with semi number 2 winner Andrew Short. He's a 125 West full-time competitor back home in America. You took the chance to ride the 250s here in Europe. You got to be happy with the way it's working out.
Oh yeah, I'm getting some good experience riding with Morocco and all these guys I grew up watching. Here I am racing. I'm pumped, and I'm really looking forward to Anaheim, and hopefully I can win like this. Just hopefully a main, not a semi.
Well, we'll see how he does in the main, but a good semi right there from Andrew Short.
Still to come, race tips by our own David Bailey as the THQ World Supercross GP continues from Holland. Dome in Arnhem, Holland, and round 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. Time now for our Nissan race tip with David Bailey.
It's body position and the best power application. That's it. Get all the way forward to where the handlebars are almost in the way. You got to always have your feet in front of the pegs. Not only for the shift, but to keep more weight up on the front end so it doesn't wheelie. You almost want to have your heels in, just like you're riding a horse, and grip that thing so that you're a part of that bike, and when you go, you're going with it. Make that bike a part of you, just like that. Grip that thing tight, and stay like that when you take off. That's part of the follow-through, and then your foot's right there for the shift. You want to let the clutch out just to the point where the chain gets tight. So as soon as the gate drops, get on it, and do all your work with the clutch. It's the smoothest delivery of the clutch and power that's going to get you there first. And if you can get the start dialed, then, you know, that's half the battle right there.
The life of a Supercross star is very demanding, and it requires the support of a lot of different people. But one of those roles that tends to get overlooked is that of wife or girlfriend. And it tends to be very extensive, more than you might ever think. I had a chance to talk to some of the girls earlier.
There's a drink here. You drink?
She does a lot of stuff, though, and she does the behind-the-scenes stuff, and she always want to make me feel confident. You know, it's difficult, especially with my surgery.
You know, with all the injuries he's ever had, he's never had surgery before. So right after the surgery, they had his arm strapped to his body, and he couldn't move it. And then 3 weeks after the surgery, he could push it himself up about halfway. And, you know, his recovery was really, really slow, and he just he cried because he thought his career was over. He said, you know, that's it, I'm finished. I'm never going to race again. And it was the hardest thing I've ever had to watch because he was sure he was finished. And the recovery was slow, but he's 100% now.
You're the only girl out here pushing a bike from the starting line back to the pits. How did you get in that role?
Well, Ted's mechanic couldn't get his passport, so I was next up in line, and I wanted to come with him anyway, so I know a lot about bikes because I race, and just kind of happened. It's a lot of work because Ted and I do all the work on the bike. We put the bike together, we gas it up. Everything has to be done between he and I don't know a lot about it, but so he has to do a lot of his own work, and it's a lot to do when they're trying to get ready for the race and focus, and you know, they got to eat and do all that, but it takes a lot of time to get your bike set up, and it's a lot of work.
She does pretty much everything, you know, for me. Just you know, takes care of me, but you know, does all of our travel. She's with me every weekend. You know, goes to the hospital with me on Thursday, you know, stuff like that, and. She's just pretty much, you know, there 100% of the time. You know, we not like a normal, you know, husband and wife where we go separate ways every day. We spend a lot of time together, and then we travel and we're together on the weekends. So we definitely, you have to have a good spouse to, you know, to be around each other that much. And you know, she's been supporting me for almost 10 years now. So I'm very thankful for that.
People ask me all the time what do you do for a living, and I'm like, well, I'm a domestic engineer. I'm a housewife, let's see, I'm a nurse, a trainer, a secretary, a flight attendant, you know, just about a couple things that go along with motocross. You've got to kind of, we're a traveling job, and people always say, oh, I wish I only had to work on the weekends, and it's really not like that. It's really like you have to pack up your whole life and go around the country every weekend, but it's fun, and I love it.
Quality time, or romance, whatever you want to call it, was hanging out in Chad's garage while he put bikes together, and I used to change filters. And his dad didn't like girls around, so that was kind of the only way I'd really get to see him. So, but when they win, it's like, to them, that's the ultimate. That's what they're here for. So I think it's just so cool because they're so happy. They're so happy with themselves, and you know, for all the team and everything, everyone works so hard to get there, so it's just the biggest reward.
The largest city in Holland, or to give the country its proper name, the Netherlands, is Amsterdam. Its hustle and bustle and relaxed laws, its amazing use of canals, and the fact that around half of the Netherlands is below sea level serves to create a unique experience for its many visitors. And we welcome you back inside the Gelredome in Arnhem, Holland. Round 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. Todd Harrison, David Bailey, as well as Cameron Steele and Jamie Little. And we are now set for the LCQ Last Chance Qualifier. David, this really is a free-for-all. Only 2 advance to the main out of this heat.
Well, it is your last chance, and guys really fight for position. And just to get in the top 2, there's usually a handful of riders right there that are battling, and they have to go through the practice on Thursday and then Friday, and then all the stuff they've gone through today, and they have to sit it out. It's a real bummer, so they fight extra hard.
Into the corner and out they come. Looks like Joe Olaf, number 71, will get the whole shot in this LCQ.
Manuel Stallman going off the track in the first corner, so that's it for him. Good look at slow motion shot of those guys coming in. A little bit of banging. See Jeremy Israel going off the track. There goes Stallman. So their night's done.
Meanwhile, Damon Huffman is now trying to battle up in front with Joe Olaf, who has the lead. Remember, this is the last chance qualifier. As David pointed out, it is a real fight because only 2 men will advance to the main event.
We already talked about number 72, Pierre Paget, trying to get into a main event. He keeps missing it by 1, but he's got Damon Huffman back there. Huffman's got plenty of Supercross experience, and he is not going to let him off the hook.
Well, Damon Huffman on the outside looking in right now as our leader is Joe Olaf. He is followed by Pierre Paget, and then Damon Huffman in third. Only the top 2 will move on as they come down the long straightaway.
Pierre doing a great job so far. This track is a little bit more like an outdoor track anyway, which is where he really shines. Going so much faster. In the one Supercross, real Supercross section, Huffman makes his move. Still not enough, though. See how Eric is able to just back it into the corner and use that outdoor style? Still not enough, but he's putting up a good fight.
Well, Damon Huffman finally closed the door. And in this situation, David, where would you rather be? In 2, trying to hold on to your spot, or in 3rd, trying to get into the spot?
I'd kind of like to be up there where Olaf is. I wouldn't want to be in either one of the... Actually, Todd, I wouldn't even want to be in the last chance qualifier. I've been in it before, and I've been more nervous in these races than I was in the main event, going for the lead.
Well, we've talked about the course, the track, how much work it has seen, how much action it has seen. It is really starting to develop a lot of ruts. One bad turn and one wrong rut for Joe Olaf, and his night could be done, so he knows how fragile that existence is up in front of an LCQ, because he's got 2 guys right behind him who certainly like to take that position. Ted Campbell now is sliding into 3rd place, so Campbell is really within a shot of moving to 2nd, and Damon Huffman and getting into the main.
I think he's more inspired by his new mechanic. Huffman to the inside again.
Look at
Beautiful. Caught Olaf sleeping a little bit, but Olaf had a little something for him. Just cut back to the inside. Didn't work out though. Campbell following Huffman right through all that.
So Joe Olaf unable to triple there, and we have a shake-up in the standings as Damon Huffman goes into 1st, and Ted Campbell now sits in 2nd. So the man who got the whole shot, Joe Olaf, now sits in 3rd, in danger of not even making the main event. Now quickly your fortunes change in Supercross.
Well, Olaf wasn't able to go for the triple and just goes from 2nd to 3rd out of a transfer spot. Looked like Huffman was for sure going to get around. He might have been able to do something to Campbell, but you know what? Campbell's riding really strong right now. Looks like he's going for the win. Not trying to play it safe here, doesn't look like to me.
Damon Huffman out in front, Ted Campbell in 2nd place. Only 2 will advance on to the main event. A very precarious situation to be in for Joe Olaf. Now he's going to try something, as you pointed out earlier, something maybe a little dangerous, something a little riskier that he wouldn't want to do just to get into that main event, because here's a guy who's traveled to Europe, and you don't want to go home with 1 race still to go, and you're sitting in the pit.
Yeah, but he's losing contact with these guys, so you know he's got to try to pick up the pace a little bit, try to stay with him, and if he were close enough, he could make some last-ditch effort. Oh, Huffman casing that jump. Drives the nose up into the corner.
Well, this is the kind of situation that he does not want to have. There's 1 fall here and an LCQ, and there's no way to recover.
You see Olaf, he's pushing it hard, trying to stay in there, but he's not able to close the gap at all.
Joe Olaf is running out of real estate as we're coming down to the waning moments of this last chance qualifying race, taking only 2 men into the main event, and Joe Olaf is desperately trying to find some more power to get back in touch with the leaders and get himself one of those 2 transfer positions.
He had a great run through the whoop section that time. Last lap, Campbell made a big mistake in the middle there. The bike started swapping around, then he overjumped the triple. He's still able to get his gap back. Olaf is making little mistakes here and there. It's really ruining his progress trying to close on these guys.
Now here's a question for you, David. Why did Joe Olaf go for a triple there when he didn't do it when he got passed by the 2 other guys?
Well, it's just sometimes you get your timing a little bit off, and you're looking at a deep rut or something. These guys only got a lap to go, and Campbell's going for the lead.
Ted Campbell not content just to make the main event. He wants to win the LCQ, take some level of satisfaction of that into the main. Hopefully a little promise of better things to come in the main event, but when you get in the main event, the stakes raise even higher because there's so much talent there.
Well, Huffman's pretty crafty. He's been around a long time, a couple of 125 titles. And he's just one of those guys, you know, he doesn't have the aggressiveness he needs to really get up there and battle and be in the top 5, but he's so smart, so smooth, so good at being able to jump everything he needs to jump, protect his line, that he's going to be a tough guy to get around.
Barring any mistake, there you see the lead by Damon Huffman. Barring any mistake, Damon Huffman will win the LCQ and get one of those advancement positions. And right now, Ted Campbell, despite all efforts, unable to get around Damon, but he will transfer to the main. The checkered flag comes out for the winner of the LCQ. It's number 20, Damon Huffman. Right behind him, it is Ted Campbell, and just not enough Dutch real estate for Joe Olaf. He settles for 3rd. There you see our final results in the LCQ. Right now, let's send it down to Cameron Steele, who's got our winner.
In the 250 last chance qualifier, if you miss it by 1 spot, finish 3rd place, you get the Racer X gas card. Joe Olaf is that guy. Came all the way from the States. You had a pretty good weekend in Geneva. You've got to be frustrated missing the main by 1 place here in Arnhem.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I should have made it out of my semi, but I went down in the first turn and ended up 6, missed it by 1 there too. So It's just tough luck, man. That's Supercross. If you make a little mistake, everybody goes by you, and you're sitting in the stands watching.
Well, we'll see you at Anaheim.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you, Cameron, and better luck to Joe when we get to Anaheim in January. Our final is set. These riders will line up for our main and the chance to win round 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. David Villemin will try and make it 2 for 2, but his own teammates, Timmy Ferry and Chad Reed, might be his biggest competition. This is the THQ World Supercross GP on ESPN. Welcome back inside the Gelredome in Arnhem, Holland for round number 2 of the THQ World Supercross GP. Todd Harris along with David Bailey calling the action as our main event gets set to go. 20 riders on our KTM starting grid, David, and there's a lot of good ones. Ferry, Villemin, McGrath, Reed, Tortelli, choose your poison.
Well, Villemin and Reed having a great heat race battle, but Ferry's heat race is actually just a little bit quicker, so expect those 3 guys to be right there.
Right now, let's go down to the track and check in with Cameron Steele.
Well, guys, as we get ready for the main event, you got to wonder what the track conditions are looking like. Sure, the Dirtworks guys come out and they maintenance the face of the big jumps, the triple or the finish line jump. But here in this technical section, a step on, step off, where you can double, triple, or triple double. Look at these ruts in the setup. You got to get into it, pick your line, and hit it hard. In the main event, 20 laps. That's more laps almost in the track seen all night from the 250s. It's going to break down even more. Line choice is key, and we'll see who has the magic to make it a win.
All right, thank you, Cameron. A great illustration and a great view as we are set to go. This is the main event from Arnhem, Holland. 20 riders dicing into that corner, and who comes out with a hole shot? Well, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's number 22, Chad Reed.
Looked like Tortelli had it, but Reed was in there right away. Lewis again. His European trip not going good. See, he gets shoved wide. The Volney gets blocked. Down they go. They got to start their race from the back. Maybe they aren't that glad they made the main event. Not starting out very good. Villemin up there. Ferry a little further back, but again, Tortelli coming off the line strong. His starts have been good. Much better for LaRocco as well, sitting in 4th right now. Big improvement over last week where he was last.
Mike LaRocco's not going to know what to do with himself, having to fight up through those 20 laps to get into a top 5 position. And here he is, starting off in top 5, but in front of him some tremendous talent, including our leader, number 22, Chad Reed, on board the Yamaha as he brings him around one more time.
Well, there's another crash right before the finish line jump. That one gets Heath Voss. Looks like Ted Campbell, Ryan Clark. With Reed getting away. Wow, look at Villemin go. Just smoked Tortelli through the whoop section. Now it's Yamaha's 1-2, and that triple right there has been a little ace up Chad Reed's sleeve. But now Villemin is into 2nd. He can check out what Reed is doing. I don't know if he has the fitness with the cold he's been carrying around this week, but he certainly has a shot.
So right now it is Chad Reed in 1st, his teammate David Villemin in 2nd, bike number 12, bike number 103 is Sebastian Tortelli. He is in 3rd place, and we've got a great battle as the yellow flags come out indicating there has been a wreck on the course. Another rider stalling out there in the corner, but Chad Reed pays no attention to him. He is picking David the perfect line.
He's looking good right away. Look at the lead that Villemin has on Tortelli already. Only a lap later, heading into that whoop section. You can see Reed and Villemin really opening it up, setting the pace. These guys have both been the fastest in all the practices. They were the fastest last week, and here they go again.
Well, we saw the same kind of battle from these two gentlemen in the 250 heat number 2. Villemin got 1st, Chad Reed got 2nd, but it wasn't after some fantastic riding by both of them. But right now, the table's been turned, and it is Chad Reed, bike number 22, the Yamaha, out in front, and his teammates right behind him. And Chad Reed, I don't know what's got into him to stop these 2 stops in Europe, but David, he has been absolutely on fire.
Well, I was pretty impressed with him, the way he rode at the World Cup of Motocross back in Glen Helen. It was put on in place of a race that would end up being canceled. He won that, led Team Australia to the victory there. Then he went into the U.S. Open and kind of got under Carmichael's skin a little bit. They got into some blocking, and the next night he had to start in the 2nd row. Came from up to 5th off the start, charged all the way to 2nd. Every time I see this guy ride, he seems a little bit more intense each time, and this trip has been the same thing. keeps getting faster.
Speaking of intense, we've got a great battle in third and fourth right now. Sebastian Tortelli and Grant Langston. Langston 111 on the KTM, trying to close the gap. It looks like he's almost got the job done, but as soon as he gets close, Tortelli seems to find yet a little more speed.
The leaders are gone. They're already going the other way. For a guy like LaRocco, who knows he can get up there and run that pace he has before, that's got to be frustrating to be behind these guys. Then again, he's not really putting the pressure on him. It's not like they're holding him up. Mike's just not riding his best right now, and by the time he starts getting it together, I think it's going to be too late. Reed and Villeman are gone. You can't count on both of them making a mistake.
So right now it is Chad Reed out in front, David Villeman in second, Sebastian Tortelli in third, Grant Langston in fourth, Mike LaRocco in fifth, and then another Yamaha, Timmy Ferry, currently sitting in sixth position.
You know, we haven't mentioned McGrath yet. A bad start for Jeremy. He's still not even coming into the picture. Just not been the best trip for Jeremy. There he is finally.
McGrath sitting in seventh place right now on board his new ride, the KTM. And how much of that do you factor into it, that it is a new ride? Is he still getting used to it?
Well, quite a bit. Still got to get used to that bike, and they make a lot of changes. They were making a lot more last week in Geneva. I think he's got it narrowed down a bit more, but still not quite up to speed yet. He didn't get the start he needed here to really battle with these guys.
We're in the midst of the 250cc main event. More from Holland when we come back. Welcome back inside the warm confines of the Gelredome in Arnhem, Holland for round two of the THQ World Supercross GP. Todd Harris along with David Bailey, Cameron Steele, and Jamie Little as the action of our main event continues. As we look at the THQ leaderboard, it is still Chad Reed out in front, followed by David Villeman.
Villeman's still keeping him in sight. Chad unable to really pull away, but I'll tell you what, Chad it just looks to me like he refuses to lose this race. You know, the way he's been riding here, coming back to Holland, the track being a little bit sandier where he's very strong. Villeman not being 100% right now with the sickness. Just don't see, unless Chad makes a big mistake, Villeman able to close that gap. I think they can run like this all the way to the finish, but Chad should be able to hang on to it. Plus, he's still a little uptight from what happened last week. He feels like he should have been up there battling with Villeman to the end that time until he got hooked up with Tortelli. So he's had it in his head all week that he wanted to win this race, and now he's got a shot at it, and he's not going to let go.
Chad Reed from Australia continues to be our leader here in the main event, the 250cc, round number two. In second from Marseille, France, on the 12 Yamaha, that is David Villeman, the winner at our first stop in Geneva, Switzerland. And now we've had a shake-up a little bit in the standings, David. Grant Langston, 111 on board the KTM, has now moved into third place.
You know, a lot of the people have been asking me, you know, what do you think about Carmichael not coming over to these World Supercross GP rounds, and riders like Ezra Lutz, Pastrana, Roncada. You know, for Ricky, he's already got a couple of Supercross titles. He's got a blueprint. He doesn't need to be here. He knows how fast he needs to go at home and how hard to train, how often. But the other guys, they should be here. And watch what happens when we get back to the U.S. Langston is building confidence lap by lap. He's going to be a contender against guys like Lutz. That's going to be a little bit of a shock to them, but just judging by the momentum he's gaining here and the confidence he's building, getting the bike sorted out, he'll be a problem right away when we get to Anaheim.
And right behind Langston, number 5, Mike LaRocco, making the most of the best start we've seen him have here in Europe. He is currently sitting in fourth place right now. Almost a foregone conclusion, though, that no one's going to catch Chad Reed or David Villeman unless they have a major mental breakdown.
Oh, Langston getting caught up a little bit there in that run. And LaRocco is making a push. LaRocco made an excellent run into the whoop section that past lap. Just exploded out of the berm and floated in. Had good momentum all the way through. Made up about 3 bike lengths. Then Langston made a mistake. He made up a couple more. He better make up some time. He's got Ferry breathing down his neck. Ferry came out of that heat race with the fastest time. So he's not kidding around either.
Number 40 is James Pavolny Jr. He is a lap rider right now, so Timmy Ferry's having to deal with him. And he is not giving way, but Ferry eventually gets past him, but it is still Chad Reed, David Villeman, Grant Langston, and Mike LaRocco, your top 4 riders.
Chad opening it up just a little bit. Love the way he's able to trickle out of that corner. runs the suspension a little bit stiffer than most guys. A little bit different power band. He's so aggressive. He's always on the power. It's always wide open. He's always hitting stuff hard. David runs a little different setup because he's got a lot more finesse, a little bit different feel for the bike.
Well, Chad Reed's lead has gone up to 1.9 seconds, almost 2 seconds over a very fast David Villemin, fellow Yamaha team rider. But Chad Reed has just impressed me so much. This guy, it sounds almost cliche, but he is certainly worth the price of admission. And then when you figure you factor in some of the riders that didn't make it over, namely Ricky Carmichael, can you imagine a main event with those two on the line?
Well, there's still a lot of people, and myself included, that feel he's got to give the nod to Ricky. You know, I mean, he beat him at the U.S. Open, the only time they've ever raced together on 250s, and he didn't have any trouble with it there. And, you know, but Chad's gaining momentum here. He'll be closer, but I still think that Ricky's got a little edge on him. Villemin, like I said, I don't think he's riding at 100% right now. He's just trying to be smart. Keep Chad on it and make sure that, you know, he's having a great night. If he is, well, second wouldn't be bad. Take over the points lead and get healthy before Anaheim.
Grant Langston continues to hold down third, but Mike LaRocco is smelling podium right now. There you see the laps and the times. The differential is coming down rather quickly. I don't know if Langston has gotten himself into a sense of false security or what. Mike LaRocco is just on fire. He's just trying to close the door on Grant Langston, 111.
LaRocco.
Oh, picture-perfect block pass.
Langston just had no idea he was quite that close. Otherwise, he would have cut off that line a little bit right there.
Langston and LaRocco continue to do battle here in Arnhem, Holland. We'll step aside. We'll be back with the conclusion after this. And we have blue skies over beautiful Arnhem, Holland, and it has been a blue sky day inside the Geller Dome in the main event of the 250cc class. Team Blue, Yamaha has dominated from start to finish. This man, Chad Reed, opening up a lead now of almost 5.5 seconds, got the whole shot. And David Bailey, he has not looked back, and he hasn't had to, because the only person behind him has been his teammate, David Villemin.
Yeah, Chad has stayed steady. His lap times haven't changed much. Where David, you can see that he's just decided to settle for second. And he doesn't like losing, but I think he's got to be smart at this point and realistic, going, okay. I mean, he's got more medicine in him than nutrition right now, so it'd be a big hole he'd have to dig physically to try to go after Reed on a night when he seems pretty unbeatable. And Anaheim's right around the corner, so David's trying to do the smart thing right here.
Well, if you're David Villemin, though, David, you got to be pretty happy on your European stint. He gets a win in Geneva, and it looks like a second-place finish here in Arnhem. As he goes over to Anaheim, I mean, the momentum, he and Chad Reed have got to be feeling it.
Yeah, this won't be a disappointment. I mean, I know he'd like to win it, but you know, he'll have the points lead, and he had a great heat race win. He knows he can run with Reed. He's just got to be healthy to do it.
So David Villemin content right now. It appears to be in second place, and the battle continues to rage on for third, fourth, and fifth. Reed and Villemin have all but locked up their positions on the podium. But Mike LaRocco, Grant Langston, Sebastian Tortelli, and Timmy Ferry trying to get into battle, possibly to claim that third podium position.
You can tell by the way David's riding, there's no aggression at all. He's not charging any of those sections. LaRocco, he's got a long ways to go to get up to Villemin. He's sort of backing down a little bit too. Still tripling through that rhythm section, which is a big time saver. You got to at least do that. But not charging that hard and all the other little spots. I mean, if we saw Carmichael out here on this track, he looked a lot more like Reed, or maybe even a little quicker.
Well, Mike LaRocco certainly happy to have this leg of the tour over with after some poor starts off the line and some tremendous battles to get himself back up into a good finishing position. He has had a great race here. Unfortunately, Chad Reed and David Villemin have been absolutely on it. But Mike LaRocco continues to hold down third after a 2 or 3 lap battle with Grant Langston.
Well, he finally won that battle, so he's got to feel good about not letting the kids get too much confidence. But McGrath, 7th place. Yeah, it's worse than last week, and you think that since he's more used to the bike, and, you know, got more laps under his belt, that he'd be moving up the ladder, not back. The start didn't help, but still, this is unlike Jeremy. Not a good sign going into Anaheim, and you figure there's going to be about 5 or 6 more riders capable of running up front or beating him. got to think that a few of those guys are going to be able to pull that off and drop him even further back. He was rolling the triple there because of the red cross flag. That's a rule.
Well, you got to figure the telltale sign for Jeremy McGrath is going to come in Anaheim. The way he performs there can be really no excuses. He'll be back on home soil, feel pretty good about his program by that point, and we'll see what he has. Meanwhile, Timmy Ferry's had a pretty good run here, and look at this. Just goes down hard. What happened there? Looks like the front tire just washed out.
Well, it was good for Langston. He was able to get around, but there's a lot of ruts there when you land. That is some of the sticky dirt. It does sort of grab your front end. And got on the brake, started leaning into the corner, and the wheel got caught in one of those ruts and just washed out. Look at Reed just plowing into the corner. Look how far forward he rides. His head always up over the handlebars or even in front. Just make a copy of this show and freeze frame it in a bunch of different places around the track. And every time you stop the tape, it'll look like Chad is in a hurry. You know, and that's the kind of aggression it takes. What he understands it's going to take to be able to run with somebody like Carmichael. Villeman, you know, he has a different way of looking aggressive. It's more line choice and finesse. He's still able to get it done. With Reed being a little shorter, more like Carmichael, we see that same sort of hard-charging, lean-forward style.
Well, this has almost become a parade. Final few laps for David Villeman and Chad Reed with their victories and second-place finishes almost secured. You look at these two riders, and they've done exactly what they needed to do here in the first two stops over in Europe. David Villeman, despite being ill, has walked away with the points lead. As the white flag is out now, Chad Reed and David Villeman will just coast in this last lap, try to avoid lap riders and the enormous ruts that have now formed.
Well, this is going to feel good for Chad. First win on a 250.
Are you surprised that it came this quickly?
No. No, after the way I saw him riding at the World Cup and the U.S. Open, I figured he'd see some of this pretty soon.
Well, this gets people talking, I'll tell you that. David Villeman with a victory in Geneva. Now it looks like Chad Reed picks up a victory here in Arnhem, Holland. And I'm sure for the Ricky Carmichaels and the Ezra Lusk, some of those gentlemen who stayed back in the States for these first two stops, they're going to start to wonder just how good these guys really are.
Well, Chad Reed has definitely got some momentum. I talked about Langston already. Villeman knows he's where he needs to be, and they still have a little bit of work to do in the next 3 weeks.
But your winner in Arnhem, Holland, number 22, Chad Reed, on board the Yamaha from Australia. He picks up the victory at stop number 2. Second place will go to number 12 out of Marseille, France, also on board a Yamaha, Mr. David Villeman. But the night belongs to Chad Reed. Mike LaRocca with a tremendous performance, securing third place. And in fourth, it will be South Africa's Grant Langston on the KTM.
I don't think you can say the words tremendous to Mike and get a rise out of him. He didn't even jump the finish line jump. He is sick and tired of finishing third. This European trip, not very good for LaRocca.
Well, it's been very good for Team Yamaha. Tonight it is Chad Reed who gets the victory. Stop number 2 here at Arnhem. He is followed by David Villeman, LaRocca, Langston, Tortelli, Timmy Ferry in 6th, Jeremy McGrath in 7th. Right now, let's check in with Cameron Steele, who's got our winner.
Your champion here in Arnhem, Chad Reed from Australia. Last year, the 125 East Coast Supercross champion. Chad, welcome to the 250 class.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. You know, last weekend I was riding good, and, you know, I felt I was in a good position to win, and unfortunately, come together with Sebastian and crashed, and, you know, this feels great. It's my first 250 Supercross win in, you know, in World Championship competition, so it feels good to get that one out of the way, and hopefully it's, you know, one of many.
One of many, hopefully. Now, talk about a lot. You did this in Australia before. Does it feel like being back home? I mean, you're on the world stage, but you consistently won down there. You feel like now you can get on a roll here in this World Supercross GP?
Yeah, I sure hope so. You know, I'm training really hard. I got the best people involved with me. My Yamaha's running great. We have the best guys out there, you know, Bridgestone, and, you know, I feel like we're on a bit of a roll, you know. I feel good back on the 250, and I think we're ready to do some winning this year.
Right on. Well, guys, we're going to have to see what happens at Anaheim to see if Chad Reed can continue his roll. But right now, back up to you guys in the booth.
All right, thank you, Cameron. As we look at the THQ Series point standings after 2 stops, it is David Villeman atop the board, and he is now standing by with our Cameron Steele.
Thanks, guys. Well, last week's winner, David Villeman, came into the event here in Arnhem with the flu. You can hear him cough in the background. David, you seem like you had the speed at the beginning to chase down or get in a battle with your teammate, Chad Reed. But it seems like the flu took over you towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I got a good 10 laps, and after I got really tired. I'm really sick since a week, and but that's okay. I'm happy to be second. You know, Chad brought a super race, and it was really fast, and I think he deserved the win for sure.
Well, it's a long season for the World Supercross GP, and David, you're leaving Europe with the points lead. That has to feel good going into Anaheim.
Yeah, sure. Now, you know, it's like 3 or 4 weeks till Anaheim, so I just need to get more fit and ready for, you know, to race Ricky now.
We'll see you at Anaheim.
Rider number 22.
Well, a sweet taste of victory for Chad Reed and a great end to our European leg of the THQ World Supercross Tour. Round number 3 will take place at Edison International Field in Anaheim, California, USA, January 4th as the AMA National Supercross Series begins. On behalf of David Bailey, Cameron Steele, and Jamie Little, I'm Todd Harris saying so long from Arnhem, Holland. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.